pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, consent agenda. You have the minutes. Any comments or corrections or changes? If not, we'll move on to the financial fund reports.
Okay, starting on page 4 is the summary for the activity fund accounts. And then on page 5 through 10 is the detail on each account for the year so far. Questions about any of those? Okay, page 11 starts the general fund revenue. The appropriated column is still last year's estimate of needs because I literally just got that one this afternoon. Amy walked in and dropped it off. So that's why this will look a little different than when we look at the estimate of needs in a minute. So for collections, taxes, we are up $802. Interest, we're down $539. The reimbursement and general fund refund, together we are up $1,725. And then child nutrition is up $11,535, bringing our total district collections up $13,523 from last year. And that child nutrition jump is because it was free last year. It's not this year, so we've got lots of parent payments coming in right now. Intermediate, county 4 mil, we are up $1,886. Mortgage tax, we're up $1,846, so that's a total of $3,732 for that section. And then state gross production is up $2,044. Motor vehicle is down $64,863, and it looks like we just haven't got the same number of payments so far this year as we had last year. School land is up $4,822. Vehicle stamp is up $40. Foundation and incentive is up $72,330. The FBA is up $4,030. And textbooks are down $141,707 because last year, if you remember, they gave us our full allocation up front, and it looks like this year they're gonna go back to making payments every month. So total state collections are down $123,382, but that's really textbook money. Page 12 are the federal sources. So collections in 4,200 federal, that is the claim amounts that we spent last year but claimed and got it in July instead of June. So that is up $791,360 from last year. MeChif is down $18,056. We just haven't had a collection for them yet, and their payment cycle just varies because it's the state. Child nutrition, we are up $50,075 from last year, and that's just, again, we've collected more months of claims than we had at this time last year. So total federal, we're up $823,379. And then grand total revenue is up $717,253. Questions about any of that? Okay, starting on page 13 are the general fund encumbrances for your approval. And there is one PO 267 for teacher retirement fees. That's something that you guys don't usually see because it's done on the payroll side. The OTRS decided to lower the percentage that we had to pay for summer school federal matching on federal paid teachers. And then when it raised back up, it didn't get updated in our software before we did the first payroll. So we just owe a little bit of money on that retirement, that federal matching. So that's what that $50 is.
Real quick, Jennifer, on 259, it looks like a HVAC unit for the middle school, one of the middle school rooms. At one time we bought like multiple units.
We did.
And have we installed all of those already? I couldn't remember.
Yes. So that just happened in August. They came in towards the end of July finally, that we had ordered last November. Finally got them all in, and they've all been installed.
Okay.
So the middle school has that kind of 6th grade hallway section that is all older units. They're newer than the old units we replaced. And so this was just one that I believe the capacitor went out on it, and they couldn't get new parts to even fix it. So we went ahead and replaced it. But he said as far as the others go, he thinks use them until they go out.
Okay, because I know we kind of talked about that a little bit, Drew, hadn't we, about proactively.
We had, and if you remember when we did those 5 or 8 there, when we had a little bit of money, we were paying $6 grand for those things. If you look down what we're paying now, about 10,000. And that was why we wanted to go ahead and be proactive and get those in. We couldn't get them in even after we ordered them. It was May, did you say? Is that when?
We ordered them in November, and they came in July.
Yeah. So, you know, now they're pretty high. I think I'd probably go the other way and see if they're going to come back down a little bit before I would. I wouldn't buy any more proactively. That would not be my recommendation.
Okay, so 260 and 261, do we finally have one copy agreement for the entire campus and
Yes.
sayonara all one?
Yes, it is actually under the contracts. You'll see the agreement. But yes, they were installed last week. They're gonna come out, hopefully tomorrow and do training with all the secretaries. Hopefully Travis has gotten all the scan to PDF stuff in for everybody, and so they're gonna come do training. So I'm excited.
And on 294, did we have the propane tank in?
We don't have it yet, do we?
We do not. That's also
Okay.
one of the contracts, in the next item. No, so Hayes Electric has to go out and get power to where they're putting the propane tank. And then the Pinnacle Propane will come out and they'll do everything else. They're providing the tank for free. We just have to purchase the propane. They'll get the whole site ready and everything.
Where were we putting? Out
It is out behind baseball and softball. There were 2 different sites, and I'm not sure only one of them got approved. And so
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but yes, it's out by kind of the big parking lot area where they
Okay.
have plenty of room to get in and out
Get
there
out
with the
there.
buses, yes.
That's nice.
And they'll do all the training, once they get the tank and stuff in, they'll come, they'll train all the guys, whoever might even fill it. He said, go ahead and train them, they'll get their little certificate, and so they'll handle all of that for us.
On 295, did we get that taken care of finally, the wildlife removal?
Yeah, what
I guess
was
that's
it?
for the gym?
No,
Or
this is
it
for,
different?
this is for the fields, this is for the athletic
Oh,
fields.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Jim's taken care of, as far as I know, I haven't
Okay,
heard
good.
different. They actually had some armadillos
That's correct.
this time.
On the baseball field?
On the baseball field, they
Oh,
were
that's nice.
making
Not
a
good.
horrible mess.
Yeah.
Baseball and softball, and so, and it took us a while to get them. But we got them. He got them, I didn't.
Where's Bill Murray when you need it?
Right.
Go first.
Jennifer, on 272, these are the new doors, correct? Key fobs for the,
So, yeah, these are the doors out here that are the connector, so from the connector hallway to the annex.
okay.
So we decided that it would be best to put key fobs on those, just so more people would be able to access them.
Because all the other doors that were part of another one that was approved, right? All the other
Yes.
fobs were,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
And then 274, upgrade of the cameras. What did we do? I thought we just did cameras. Is that,
We-
are we upgrading again or what?
Well, we've got a lot of cameras, but we didn't have every place covered that needed cameras. What we did was the bare minimum. Then we've put a few in over time, but, so we asked both Glenn and the principals, what's your wish list? Where do you need cameras that we don't currently have cameras? And this was the deal. For $78,000, we can get everything covered that we need covered. And they use them, if any of you want to speak to that, they use them daily. they pull them up. When you walk into one of their offices, they have the cameras up immediately. That's one of the things they look at first thing. Does that answer your question, Ken? Or- Okay.
Yeah, it does. And then 336, I guess it is, the backstop. We're redoing the backstop. I know you
Yeah,
mentioned-
so Brennan played his, I told the new people, hey, this is the year to ask for stuff. If you're gonna ask it, when you're a newbie, we're gonna try to get you what you want. Well, Brandon called me on it, Brandon Ruiz, and he said that backstop is not in good shape, and the brick part doesn't go all the way around, and so for this money, for the 8,000, we're gonna get the brick all the way around and the backstop put back together brand new. So he's excited about it. I think it's probably the right thing to do.
So will it go from dugout to dugout then?
Yes,
Will?
that's what I've been told.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, on page 18 is the function summary report for general fund. So we are currently spent 38% of our appropriated amount, and again, that's last year's appropriated amount. So last year at this time, we were sitting at 39%, so we're 1% less on spending right now. And page 19 are 2 POs from the building fund. The M&M Wrecking is to demo the house that we purchased. And then Lingo, somehow the softball locker rooms got overlooked because we were doing lighting projects, and there were several that night they presented. So this is just what they presented at the end of June. So that's what those 2 are. Questions about those? Okay, page 20 is the function summary for the building fund. Again, that appropriated amount is the estimate of needs from last year. The only thing that's changed are those 2 encumbrances that were added in the encumbered column. Page 21 is the function summary for the bond fund, and that appropriated amount is just carryover, and we've made a bond payment, so that balance is $160,000. And then page 22 is the function summary for the sinking fund, and we deposited $5,622 in taxes, so that appropriated amount went up by that amount this month, and that's the only change there. And then the next several pages, you have some additions to fundraisers. The elementary music, speech, and middle school drama club had not turned any in for this year, so that's why they have so many that are in this packet.
Motion on consent.
Move approval of item 3, A, B, C, and D.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Childers,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Walsted,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 4, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve the 22-23 estimate of needs. You should have either a copy or the bound copy.
Yes, so the 3 bound copies will have to be signed, and then those I have to send to the county, and then the other 2 do not. So, but I wanted you to all have a copy to look at. So that top page is just the budget comparisons for the general fund building fund for the last 2 years. So you can see under general fund, the carryover went up $180,000 on $146. The revenue estimates went up $890,665, and our tax estimate went up $44,079. So that increases our budget for this year. And then same for building fund, with the red bed funds that we received last year, our carryover went up to $193,625, and then our tax estimates have gone up $6,297. The next page is the publication sheet, which is kind of the whole big document in a nutshell. And so you can see that on the left column, the general fund, current expenses, that top number, the 18,531,393.69 is actually what our appropriated amount will be. And so that just takes all of our miscellaneous revenue and then the taxes that they estimate that we're gonna raise and our cash fund balance. And that's what gets us to there. So that is $1,114,891.48 from last year's appropriated amount. And then under building fund, there's the cash fund balance and then the estimated taxes. So it's actually down $5,432.44 from what we ended with last year on our estimate of needs, because we did that amendment to it at the end of the year to include the red bud. But she also hasn't included red bud funds this year, so we may have to do that again if we get close to spending that amount. Questions about any of that?
Les, do you have any questions?
No.
Alright.
All those other pages just give you details of what the front sheets say.
I got the clerk copy here. Yeah. Move approval item 4.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jagers,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Walston,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes. Item 5, discussion of possible action to approve or not approve the following board policy revisions. BC safety programs, BH sexual harassment, BJ internet access and acceptable use policy, ED grading, promotion, retention, and graduation.
So I'm gonna just run through these just to kind of remind you what it is, and then if you have questions about it, I'll be happy to answer them. If it gets too technical and we need a lawyer, we'll table it and we'll go to next month. But this first one, there was a law about making sure that the kids and adult people go to the restroom where they of the gender they were born. So we're gonna follow that law. So we have always in the past, it's not something new for us. If we have somebody that lets us know that they are either making a change or want to be considered a different, then we give them a different place to go to the restroom. And we've had to do that in the past, and we're not doing it this year that I know of, but and that's basically what the law says. So we're complying with the law, but we have to have it in board policy. So any questions on that one? That's all that is. Then, so that's BC, I believe, yes, and then BH just clarifies, we did BH before. Remember I came in and told you that I had the administrators and I had a training and everything was done, but there were a few tweaks to it that Andy said, I want to change the wording on that. This is the change of the wording. So there on like G, it says shall receive Title IX training. We've already done that, but he's putting it into policy that when we're all gone and whoever comes in, that they have to receive training. That I'm the compliance officer, and that of the 3 people, let's say that Kylie has an issue in her school. It's a kid or a teacher, somebody in the middle school. Kylie is not involved in the investigation. The other two principals are. So then if it was in the high school, Ruben and Kylie would be the two that's how we're setting it up. Because the way the Title IX law works now, you've got to have defined people for defined roles. And so Dr. Flinton's got a role, I've got a role, they've each got a role. So, but it's all very straightforward, and you're not even voting on that part. I just wanted to remind you. And then he put in he just cleaned up some language on that towards the end on BH. And then on BJ, there's just one line, and it's on page 60. And it says specifically that so this is a social media policy, and it's for the adults and the kids. Now, we've had this forever, but he's changing this one line, or they are recommending this change. And it says, students should be, it's in there, all that dark part, I mean, the black print is in there now. But he clarifies that if a kid or an adult specifically does something that would constitute bullying, harassment, threats, or advocates or depicts illegal activity, that on their social media that affects school or in any way causes disruption in school, that we can do discipline, give them discipline consequences for that. And I believe
He added the word substantial disruption as well.
is that where's that?
On-
60.
on-
The same.
And same
On the
thing,
same.
it's just in the next sentence.
Oh, yeah,
versus-
he added that substantial disruption.
So that,
And then the only thing on,
so that I would assume the reason we did that is that if it was a minor, that way we could,
right,
yeah.
and
A
they
minor,
decide
yeah,
what
whether
substantial
or
or
not it's
minor is,
substantial or-
yeah. And then the only thing on ED, there's no new language, but it did take out the 2000, it just gave the school year, and we don't want that in there because it's gonna be every year. So on 66, they just lined out that. And that's it. You guys have any questions on any of those?
On the substantial, you said that would be determined.
So they would decide what is substantial versus, I mean, you know, that's a subjective word
Right,
ultimately.
sure, yeah.
But if we think it's a substantial disruption, then there'd be a different consequence than if it were minor. You know, if minor, they may put them in detention or something, but I can tell you that we have to they can tell you, I'll tell you for them, and you can ask them if they have any questions, that we have to deal with more and more social media stuff, and we hate it. And I talked to Andy about that, and he said, he said, I'm almost to the point, not with kids, but with adults, that we just ignore it because there's such a line, such a gray area for freedom of speech versus doing damage to the entity, us, that it's difficult for, you know, you kind of, when he says when you go into court, you just don't know which way it's going to go. It's not a slam dunk. You know, sometimes with the law you go, hey, we've got the law on our side, but it's,
Is he trying these cases? I mean, does the Center for Ed Law actually try a case?
Center for Education Law rarely tries cases. They did one, it wasn't on social media, but they did a teacher firing in Woodward last spring, and that was one of the few that they ever do. They try to settle, you know.
Yeah, but so they haven't had a social media lawsuit as well.
I think he was talking more generally about his
Oh, just-
colleagues, not about Center for Education Law in
Oh,
particular.
okay. That would be interesting to see.
Yeah. Questions for me or any of the principals?
Move to approve item number 6.
No, 5.
Oh, sorry, number 5. I already marked it off.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Walston,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes. Item 6, discussion possible action to approve or not approve the district's capacity of students in each grade at each school site as presented.
So I sent you an email today that gave a little bit more information. If you have any questions, I'm happy to talk through that, or the two principals. We've dropped capacities a little bit. I called Andy and said, because I couldn't remember what the law said. It's been almost a year now that we've had it. And I said, is it possible for us to have capacity at a building level versus a grade level. Because what's happening is we get upside down, we get over the top on a grade level, and that's what's happening in the elementary right now. We're 15 over or something, is that second grade?
Yeah.
And so then we're under a little bit, so that can balance out, but you guys have to balance it out. And the way you do that is by lowering that, so we don't, if we don't lower that, if we say no, we're gonna stay at the same, he's gonna have to call 12 or 15 or whatever it is people. He's gonna have to go through a second grade list, and then we're gonna end up at where you're at 7, how many? 7 what? 759, so we're gonna go up over 760, 770. That's why and then Mark's in a similar position. He's got 560 or so in the school right now. We've got one class that's huge, and we have very little control over that. If we went 15 under going in the middle school, going into high school, and we don't get enough people from Banner, we don't get the 15 that sometimes we get, then we're low for what we want to have in our schools in order to do the things we do. We want to we'd like to stay in the high school about 535. In middle school about 360, 365, and about 750 at the elementary. That's including the ECC. So all that to say, in 3 grades, we're recommending lowering that a little bit so that allows them to kind of not put more kids in school.
So that's 1650, is that right?
What's that?
That number the 535, 365, and 750, is that right?
I don't know. I mean, Ken, I was just, that's close to what we want. The rest of them would be from Children's Center kids, which are about 75. So you add those in, and we're right at 1750.
Okay.
We used to be.
That was that's what I thought 1750 was always kind of the number that and then I saw on your email today it was like 1680 or something.
So the difference there is we try to go about 1730, but we don't have control over the Children's Center at all.
Right.
We don't have control over military kids. We don't have control over foster kids. We don't have control over kids that come in from, it's not just Banner. And those kids in Banner are good kids. All these kids, these military kids, good kids, they're all good kids. If we took all the good kids, we wouldn't have any room. We don't have room now. But I always tell the parents, when they email me, I know they're great kids. I wish that's what we could go on, but it's really a capacity issue. So you're right, but I wouldn't want to limit to. I wouldn't want to say 1750 exactly. We've been as low as 1703 and been fine. I would say somewhere in the middle there. It's hard. It's hard to get a solid number. If I said we're going to work for 1730. Which is pretty close, but I'm good with 20 over or under that. We can keep the lights on either way.
Just to clarify, you're gonna set up building, we can set up building.
We cannot set a building.
cannot.
We have to set it by grade level.
We do have to.
That is in the law.
Okay, that's what I
By
thought.
grade level.
I didn't think we could do a building level.
And that's why we're asking you to do what we're doing. And the law was written so that you could do exactly what you're doing 4 times a year. You decide based on what we recommend to you, because how would you know, right? So we recommend to you what it is, and we're happy to talk through that with you. But ultimately, you decide whether we up that, lower it. You could come in tonight, and if 3 or 5 of you wanted to put it at 200 each, you could.
So the ask is this column September 20th of 22. That's what you would like to.
Yeah, and most of those are the same. There are 3 that are different,
I see that.
and you see that.
And it's just,
Second, 8th, and
There's
I guess 11.
basically setting that sets that we don't have any vacancies right
Yeah.
now.
That's correct. And we don't in all but 3, but if you guys say, hey, we're gonna leave it where we set it last spring, at the last 3 months ago, which we we have to look at this, whether you said it or not, we have to look at it. It's gotta be an agenda item for you to look at it every 3 months, so 4 times a year.
I guess what's the purpose for like 8th, we're 12 under?
12 under, because we don't want, if we don't lower it, then we have to go out and get 12 kids or take 12 off of our,
Well, current enrollment's 145. If your capacity was 140, you still would be below. I don't know. What determined the 133, I guess, is what.
I believe, isn't 133 what we had last time?
No, I mean, this says grade capacity level September 2022. Current enrollment September of 2022. So
Hold on, let me get the, I think that one, is that on, what grade is that?
I'm just looking at 8th.
That's like what they're talking about too, like where we've been getting kids from Banner.
Right.
And you know, all of you have had graduation classes that have gone through relatively recent, I think, with your kids, but she's got 145 8th graders.
Right.
We're gonna get 15 to 20 from Banner. So
Okay.
that's gonna be 160, 165 in a class. And
Yeah,
that
or
would
even
be
top the junior class.
record, for-
Yeah, that would be
Right.
massive.
So that just
Right,
puts it in place basically a year ahead of time of when we really need to have it.
Yeah, you have to cap it
I know,
during 8th
but
grade.
that doesn't peel away kids that are that 145 if they all
They're still here.
decide to stay.
That's right.
We're
Yeah.
going to keep them, right?
Yes. Yeah. But if somebody leaves, we wouldn't
So I'm
have to
saying
fill that
that
spot.
I just, why are we going down to 133?
See, this one I sent you today, so
Right.
on 8th grade, this was there. Wow. What did we just do last? I don't know. Hold on, I'll get out of it, cause I didn't say it.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine 165 students in our senior class.
Okay, so in 8th grade, what we had last time was 133. This, we're way over that. We're not
Right.
asking for that to be anything. We're not moving that at all.
Okay.
That one's
okay.
not moving.
But which one's changed?
These 3 right here, we're going down 15 in 5th grade.
Oh, right.
We're
Ah,
going
okay.
down 3 in
Okay.
9th grade.
Okay,
Got it?
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So
I was thinking
wanna-
8th grade was one of those that changed, but I didn't have it in front of
So
me.
now that I've got it in front of me, I want to tell the whole board so everybody knows. 3 grades. This is what I sent you this afternoon, or this morning,
yeah,
but
I just,
I understand. You get a lot of email.
I
We're
read
going
it.
down
but
in
I didn't
5th
remember.
In 5th grade, we're currently at 110.
No, 114.
The current enrollment is 114, and we're asking to go down to 110 so that we don't have to take
Any additional students.
That's right, additional students, because if it were at the number in which it was before, we'd have to take 15 more students, and
Yeah,
he'd
no.
have 15 more in his school. And then 9th grade, we're asking to go down 3 from, it was 133, your current enrollment is 133. What you had was 133 last 3 months ago. We're asking to go down 3 because even if we lose some kids, then we don't have to go back and replace that student, because we're big in all
Mhm.
3 groups. And then the other one is 10th grade.
Second
And
grade.
we're
Same
taking
thing.
it down 4. So it was 139.
Add more cushion.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It makes sense.
Questions?
No.
Motion to approve item 6.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Walston.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Staff reports.
Hey, Ruben, I have one question in regards to you labeled the village program.
Yes.
I'd love to hear more about the village program.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, long-
Sounds, I mean, it's fantastic.
Let
So-
me try to summarize it. It's huge. So last year we had a couple staff people come and just say, you know, we've got a lot of families that just have a abundance of support, a lot of kids with abundance of support. Then we have some that don't. And so it was kind of this idea of we want to make sure that some of those families, and not just kids, but families, have similar opportunities that a lot of our families have. So the idea is to kind of support those families that may need that additional support. So to summarize, there's a lot of things that go into it, but you know, a family that this summer they had like a cookout where they came in, we had backpacks, we had some school supplies, we had some basic, you know, necessity items that we were able to give them and invite them to a cookout. We have things that we provide them semi-regular basis as the need arises, and what happens is a staff person gets partnered with a family. And so the way I look at it is I kind of look after that child and their family like I would look after my own family. So if there's Friday popcorn day, does that kid have popcorn, money for popcorn? If they don't, I'm gonna help them out with that. It's way bigger than that, but that's kind of a summary. It's basically surrounding those families that need a village of support with the village of support, so.
And if people in the community wanted to support something like that, how would they go about doing that? Is that the PTO funding that type of thing, or individuals?
Yeah, great question. It's kind of tricky because we want to maintain confidentiality
Sure.
in a lot of areas. So right now, we do have kind of a donor who kind of helps us with a lot of those needs. And then a lot of it is just smaller things that we're able to do just, you know, individually. So, you know, I may provide something to a family, a teacher or a staff person may provide something to a family. So, but it's not, the idea is also not to become just a financial support. I mean, that's not what we're really trying to be the emotional support, the, you know, just checking in support, just all of those other things that, you know, students and families sometimes just need that additional support. So it's not, we don't want it to be just about getting things, money, you know, just things like that.
But Kent,
Good program.
to your question, if somebody is watching tonight, or you know of somebody, any of you, that wants to help with this, we gotta keep it anonymous, but what we would do is they would bring it to the admin building. We'd put it in the same account that it goes in, that when we get an actual check from this gentleman, it's Bob Henley. He's a friend of mine. I've known him he helped us out all the way back at Western Oaks, and he's followed me over here, and he's provided a lot of money. I mean, he's bought instruments for kids. He bought, I don't know how many bicycles. We bought 10 or more for the middle school. When I say we, he bought them. We just got them and put them together. So if somebody wants to help, we'll put it in that same pot of money, and it'll go to kids and families.
So is it also going up into the middle school and kind of carrying on?
Yeah, so we had some 5th graders who, you know, moved up to 6th grade.
That continue to need support?
And so we just kind of continued, we kind of left those people with the people that were supporting them,
and our goal is to continue it on. We haven't started it yet, but we have those children that came into 6th grade, and so they still have their villager from last year. And the villager contacted me and asked if she could buy him a middle school t-shirt or something that we were selling. So she wanted him to feel a part. So we still have that contact with them, and then we want to continue it on as well and get ours going, you know, sometime after Christmas.
And then one of the things that Bob brings me regularly are cards to gift, to Crest for food, and to Target for, you know, clothing or whatever. And so we give these to all the principals, and then they give them out on an as-needed basis, and Mark does that to people at the high school. So this is not just an elementary village. The village thing is, we got to give major credit to Reuben and
Stephanie
couple of,
Patrick.
couple of teachers, and who's the other?
Stephanie Kirkpatrick
And
and
then
Calvin
Ky-
Bernhardt were the
yeah.
original ones that kinda came with this idea of starting something, and then it just blew up from there, which is great, but.
Yeah, and they have a like a text, group text that I just get to monitor, and it's amazing. These people, you know, if you ever talk to somebody who says teachers are not in this just for kids, I can show them thousands of texts that says they are. Any other things for these guys on their reports? Mark's feeling a little lonely over there. Ask him a
I
question.
had one for you, Mark. How is this cell phone policy going?
It's going good. I mean, you know, there's probably a little bit of bucking the first few days, but as you know, kids, whatever you get them used to in terms of a routine, they're gonna get used to that. So it's kind of funny. Krista McCann, our art teacher, had an assignment where they had to make a digital meme, and you know, this one kid put together a meme, and it was like a smiley face, and then the words said, you know, when you can't use your phone, so you're forced to connect with your friends, you know, and that came from a student. So there's a lot of them that get it, and I think we're adding value. You know what it's like, even at your house, if you're trying to communicate in the living room and you're competing with that phone. We're trying to do the same thing with algebra and English 2 and biology. So it's working out well. We have those in every classroom. Those hangers.
Where'd you get the idea? What made you decide to pull that trigger?
You know, I mean, truthfully, I mean, just thought process. I mean, if it's, because we've always had a policy that you're not supposed to use it, but if it's within reach, if it's within touch, if they can get to it, I mean, and honestly, we have adults. I mean, we can be the same way. You know, we can
Do
get
the
trained.
teachers have a pocket?
Yeah. So, you know, we've got
You're
to do
number
it by
one.
modeling, but, you know, if it's just, no, put it in your pocket. We're
Yeah.
trained by the, you know, we're trained.
That's 30 instances of teachers saying, you know, pick that up. That's a great idea. I like it.
How about eye watches and things like that? I mean, where are we with that type of stuff?
I mean, we've addressed that before, where if it is now taking the place and there's a distraction and you're communicating through that, then we'll need to put
We'll
that
just
up
have
as
to next
well.
year get another one.
Yeah.
Hey, that pocket's big enough to fit the
Pocket's
apple
big enough.
watch.
In there.
The bell will tell you what time it is.
So the parents as teachers at full capacity, and looks like a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff going on.
Absolutely, had a great summer, and I would just reiterate what the principals have said. What's exciting this year, and we see this each year, but the group of new team members that we have brought in, really at every site, it's exciting, because they're doing great things with kids, special services, we've got some unbelievable people that have come in, and it's exciting times. Exciting
I'm
to be a
getting
Bronco.
good feedback. Yeah, I'm hearing good things. Yeah. As to parents as teachers, what do we decide with the house?
So we don't have a place to go yet. I did get a hold of the guy in the tower behind the bank, and we may, I haven't been there to see what it looks like or to see if they'll give us a discount. I know what the going rate is, and that's not what we want to pay. But they haven't sent us a letter to evict, but they
Looks like
will.
we're
There's a
renewing,
time.
yeah.
I really don't know that it may not even be this year.
Yeah.
So, but we gotta stay on that. And, the ladies already know, you know, we don't need as much space as we have over there. And the foundation knows that they're gonna have to find a place. They actually have some, they've rented a storage shelter, and they were about to get rid of it, and now think they're gonna use that. But, we really just need a place for them to meet and have phones, and I wish we had room here in the building, but sometimes they come at night and stuff for different things, so we'll get them a place. We'll find a place. We just haven't yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
paid.
Item 8, discussion possible action to approve or not approve the following contracts agreements for fiscal year 23. A, ABC Pediatric Rehab Service Agreement. B, Bethany First Church of the Nazarene Memorandum of Lease for the property at 6825 Northwest 39th Street Expressway, Bethany. Board of County Commissioners Cooperation Agreement. D, Brain Pop Subscription, quote number 34360 for 2155. E, Edmentum license for $770.40. F, Herf Jones printing agreement for high school supplement. G, ImageNet, and then what is that? Zemedius cloud fax service purchase agreement. 3, service agreement. H, National Center for Disability Education and Training collaborative agreement. I, Nearpod licenses in the amount of $32.92. J, Pinnacle lease agreement. K, Renaissance quote number 2847350 for $766. United Systems Managed Service Schedule. M, Yale Theater Venue contract.
So back to the Leadership House for a minute. So you guys had already approved the lease for this year. What they've done is revised it. So this one has a clause in it that if they do ask us to leave with a 30-day notice, that they will refund whatever portion of the year's lease that we've already paid, because we pay it at the beginning of the year. So that's what's different about this.
Renewal contracts are basically the same, like, PT or what is it?
Yes, the ABC Pediatric.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion to approve. Approval item 8A through N?
No.
No?
Yes, you're right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstead,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes. Item 9, discussion possible action to approve or not approve the district to pay for the hepatitis vaccine for employees who have been determined to be high risk, such as nurses, coaches, bus drivers, etc.
Move approval item 9.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstead,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 10, discussion of possible action to approve or not approve credit in math and science for 11th and 12th grade students for math and science courses offered at Canadian Valley Technology Center as presented in the program syllabi.
Quick question, how many students does that take those courses out there?
Mark, you,
Well, total, like career tech kids, like we have out there taking.
Yeah, well, how many of them
program?
receive credits from there like that, the math and science credits?
Well, the math and science would be different. I mean, you have to look at it in different tiers, right? Because that's like your biomed or your pre-medical, like,
Okay.
engineering. So, I wanna say, we've got roughly like 7 or 8 kids out there that are getting credit for those classes right now.
So like when Landon did welding, he did his math out there. And so I think kids who are for other things too.
Right, oh yeah,
Yeah.
we've got a lot of them. I mean, if you said how many kids we have taking advantage of our career tech programs, probably 50, around 50.
Okay, thank you. Move approval of item 10.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstead,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes. Item 11, discussion possible action to approve or not approve the following people for the District Gifted and Talented Committee for fiscal year 23. High School, Mark Milton, Jackie Milton, Lisa Tackett, Lacey Powell. Middle School, Tracy Williford, Jordan Wiska, Kylie Donnelly, Katie Griner. Elementary, Ruben Bellows, Karma Hance, Andrew Stewart, Kim Stowe, Penny Brenniger.
Move to approve item 11.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Walston.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 12, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve the following approval request from the Oklahoma State Department of Education to use the nationally recognized high school academic assessment in the place of the statewide academic assessment, SAT, for grade 11 college and career readiness assessment state testing. Bethany will be using the ACT for academic assessment.
So point of clarification, does the state just make us determine, or just state what we're going to use, whether it's
Well,
the SAT or the ACT each
So
year, correct?
the state used to use
ACT,
ACT,
yeah.
but about 2 years ago, for reasons unknown to me, they started using the SAT. So that forced us to do this with you guys. If we want to go with the SAT, this wouldn't even be on there. It doesn't matter because that's what they're given. But if we want to use the ACT, which is what we've always used, and so it allows us to compare growth from year to year, that we say we want to use the ACT. It's what our parents are familiar with. You know, there's a whole different system. Some of you may be familiar with it, but like is one of them's like the SAT is like 1500 is a perfect score, and on this is 36. So it'd be a retraining thing.
But the state still pays for ACT as a junior, correct? Do they pay for the SAT as well?
Honestly, since we don't use it, I don't know, but a vast
assume so.
majority of schools are using the ACT. It's kind of interesting to me, like Drew said.
In our region, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I thought it was interesting when they switched to the SAT because the majority of schools are still using the ACT.
Motion to approve item number 12.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Walston.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 13, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve the following out-of-town, out-of-state overnight trips with expenses to be paid from corresponding activity funds. A, John Arthur and high school football coaching clinics. One, DFW Coaches Clinic in Grapevine, Texas, January 27th through the 29th of 23. 2, Glacier Clinic in Irving, Texas, or Kansas City, Missouri, February 10th through 12th of 23. Or in St. Louis, Missouri, February 24th through the 26th of 23. B, high school track and field to attend Wichita State Shocker Pre-State Challenge in Wichita, Kansas, either April 6th through 7th or April 14th through the 15th of 23. C, high school band to attend 1, OK All-State Band, Tulsa, Oklahoma, January 18th through the 21st of 23. 2, Short Grass Honor Band, Elk City, Oklahoma, January 6th through 7th of 23. D, high school and middle school administrators and team leaders to attend Professional Learning Communities at Work Institute in Salt Lake City, Utah on October 3rd through the 5th of 22.
Move approval item 13.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Walston.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. Item 14, executive session. Do I have a motion?
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Walston.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. During the executive session, only the board, members of the board and the superintendent were present. Only items discussed were those listed on the agenda and no votes were taken.
Move approval of item
14.
14?
Yep.
Let's get this up. Yeah, 14A through N.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Jaggers.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes. 15, new business.
None.
16, board member comments. And great start
Great.
to the year.
Absolutely.
Superintendent's report.
Demolition is set for the house on Asbury to start around September 10th, so next couple weeks. You know, and the bid we got on that was about $2,000 lower than anything that, it was a good number. Lingo Construction's currently getting subcontractors to give estimates on the repair of the middle school wall. I don't know if you just walk down this hall to the doors, you'll see they've got it propped up so the wall doesn't come tumbling down. And the problem revolves around bricks pulling away from the structure, so they're just separating. They're, you know, if you've ever watched them put that in, they put something in and then they put it to the bricks, and then they adhere those bricks to the wall, and that's just come loose over, I don't know, that wall's probably 50 years old or more. And anyway, I think it's gonna cost about 10 grand. That's what I think. So, but we'll know for sure, but that was his estimate. Our district theme is only one word, it's Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese word that translates to continuous growth. I've challenged every staff member to purpose to improve just a little bit each day. Over time, we will have significant improvement throughout the district. And I've had lots of teachers that they're excited about it. More than I've seen in this is now my 6th year that I've been here. They're excited about the theme and what they're doing and trying to improve. They're really buying into what we're trying to do. I'm excited to start the process of sending teachers and principals to the PLC and RTI conferences. I believe this is the next step in the evolution of our school district and continuous improvement. And finally, Ms. Tackett would love for you guys to contact her if you're interested in seeing the renovations out at the softball field. So she texted me tonight and said, tell them all I gotta do is email me and we'll have a time to she's talking about individually 5 different things, or if 2 of you want to get together, but she's happy to show you anytime. And looks good out there. So
I'm glad, yeah.
that's my report.
We're adjourned. Everybody needs to sign all 3
Yeah,
of
this
the
one looks
ballots.
like it's
Everybody does.
specifically for the clerk.